Welcome everybody to Mind-Boggling Concepts in the Torah. As per usual, please put down any sharp objects and don't get too close to the microphone. We don't want to spread any of those diseases. So we've got a phenomenal parsha in Tzavim, one of the most important parshas. I mean, every parsha is one of the most important parshas in the Torah. So they're sort of redundant, but it's not redundant because every human being is important. Kol sus paro, we say in davening in the morning, we reference it in davening in the morning. But Rashi, the Torah says every horse of Pharaoh. And Rashi brings down that it should say ksusim. The Torah didn't want to add two other letters, a yud and a mem. All the horses of Pharaoh, because as far as God's concerned, one horse is as good as another horse. When it comes to horses, it's like Coca-Cola cans or cars or yeah, I guess that's all you really need to know. So one is as good as another. Whether it's this car or the next one off the conveyor belt, it doesn't really make it. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. So when it comes to horses, they all fulfill as a genus, as a category, the same purpose. That we sing. Every animal has a shir, as a song, but it's the species that has the song, not an individual that has a song. Every person has a song. So people, animals are not unique. Each species is unique, but each individual within it is not unique. But every human being is unique. So how do we get onto that?
Because Tzavim.
What's that?
Because of the Parshat Tzavim.
Oh, it is right. Thank you. Thank you, Hill. Very good. So every parsha is special. Right? It's not a contradiction. So, and with Rosh Hashana coming, Yom Kippur coming, and Sukkot's coming, I think we need to really cover some ideas. So the parsha has the very famous. Rav Nach used to talk about this a lot. It's the only time in the whole Torah that the Torah gives you a choice. It tells you a choice. So the Torah says, "I put before you life and death, good and evil, a blessing and a curse. Choose life." See, he used to say, if the Torah says choose life, it's because you don't have a choice between good and evil or a blessing and a curse. Your only choice is between life and death. So we see that in what's that?
How could that be? If he's telling you that there's a choice, how could it be that there's no choice? Well,
There's no choice.
That makes sense to me.
There's no choice between good and bad. There's only a choice between life and death.
But then are you saying basically that within that choice is the other choices too? So when you choose life, therefore you choose blessing and you choose good.
Right, exactly.
Just wanted to clarify.
Right. So there's no choice of being good.
Right. You have to first decide whether you want life or death, meaning or meaninglessness. And once you make that decision, the other decisions kind of fall in place.
Exactly. Right. The most important, I don't know, I like to think of it as the most important question you can ever ask yourself. But I can't say that because I don't have a source. But I think it is. The most important question you can ever ask yourself is the one question that people don't ask. And that is, where do I not want to end up? The messes we get ourselves in life are because we didn't ask that question. Wherever mess you're in or would not like to be in, or whatever, let's put better, whatever mess you're in is because you didn't ask that question. And
Is
also,
that true? Do you need to have enough life experience or life knowledge in order to even be able to ask that question and properly answer it?
no, no, because yeah, everybody has enough of of life to know where they don't want to end up. Everybody sees their neighbors, they see the community, they see enough of what they don't like to be able to say, I don't want to end up like that.
I don't know. I'm sorry for interrupting again, but like
It's not interrupting. Go
there's
ahead.
too many people that are living like not real lives. I mean, more so now than ever. Like they're so into their screens. How is it that they can even make a decision is beyond me. Because they're not even living in the real world to be able to notice what's going on in the real world to make enough of a like to even have a realization that oh, I should probably like observe and figure out what I want and don't want.
That's true. That's a very good point. That they are living the nightmare. But the problem, that's not the life that they should not be, that they should be regretting or fearing. It's what happens when you live a life like that. So they will end up in a space. I'll give you, it's a great story. Charlie Harari tells this story. He was I'm sure you've heard me tell this story. It's a fantastic story. He was a junior lawyer in one of these major law firms in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
And in these places, the principals of the law firm are like they're like kings.
Mm-hmm.
They're like they walk on thin air. You don't beat them, you don't talk to them. But they had a tradition in the firm that when one of the principals retires, that he goes or she goes to the juniors and just says goodbye. So this guy was retiring and he went by everyone's office and he stopped at Charlie's office and he said to him, goodbye. Do you have any questions for me? It's my last day here.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie says, yes, I do. Can you give me some, if you had to do it all over again, can you give me some advice? Like, what should I avoid? Like, how should I do it differently? Right, based on your experience. And the guy says, that's a very good question, and I'm not going to answer it.
Why? Chutzpah.
That's true. That's exactly what Charlie said.
Really? That's exactly what Charlie said?
Yeah, he didn't say chutzpah. He didn't say chutzpah. The guy wasn't
I have
Jewish.
more chutzpah than him.
He didn't say chutzpah. I remember the guy wasn't Jewish. So I don't think he would even, I don't know if they know what chutzpah meant anyway. But he said, why? He says, because you won't listen.
Free advice. Hatred of the free.
Oh, very good. That's not why. That's a very good point. I like that. Right, you've been reading some book, right? So he said it's not because of that. No, it's very good. He said you won't listen. Although maybe we could tie it in. But anyways, he said you won't listen. He says, try me. He says, no, you're not going to listen. He says, really, you said you're going to ask any question. This is the question I want to ask. Please tell me. What this is okay. Then it says, by this time, F is creating a buzz on the floor. And other lawyers are coming in, like, because usually as the principal's leaving, it's just, it's perfunctory.
Sayonara. Yeah, it's sayonara. Get out of here. We want to take your spot.
Right. And the principal was like spending a lot of time in Charlie's office. So there's a bit of a crowd that's forming, and they're all listening to what he has to say. So he says, okay, I'll tell you, right? He says, take one day off a week and spend it with your friends and family, right? So Charlie says, why do you say that? He says, because now I'm retiring, and I have, thank God, a lot of money, right? But I've spent my whole life working in this office, right, as a lawyer, and I don't have any relationships anymore. Like, my friends are all just business people. They don't want to meet me anymore because I have I'm retiring. and my family don't want anything to do with me because I never had any time for them. So now it's like I got the rest of my life to spend by myself. It's pretty sad, right?
Sad? It's like beyond desolate.
It's absolutely. So Charlie said to him, he says, have you ever heard of Shabbat? So the guy said, I've heard of it. Isn't it something like, what do you do? He says, that's what we do. We take one day off a week and we spend it with our family and our friends. And it's it's incredibly grounding, right? So you see, right, this guy who was retiring, he didn't ask that question, where do I not want to end up? He could have asked that question. Charlie asked that question. He said, what is it I should be avoiding? What, after a lifetime of experience and success in this field, what is the thing I should be avoiding in life? We all have enough people in our lives. Please God, one day, please God, soon, we all live remarkable lives where there will be no examples of anybody messing up their lives. That should be it. But at the moment, you don't have to worry about that. There's enough people that everybody has contact with that you can say, I don't want to end up like him or her, right? And just asking that question and researching it a little bit, it doesn't take an awful lot. You'll find an awful lot of material how you can avoid that kind of mess. Right? It's not that difficult, right? That's, I hold, is the most important question you can ask in life, right? That's the choice between life and death, because this lawyer is, as he's retiring, he's facing death, right? That's what he's facing.
I don't know. I'm having a hard time agreeing with this idea. I'm sorry, Rabbi.
No, that's fine. Why do you say that?
It seems to me that you may not get the right answer. Shouldn't the one thing that you're always looking for is truth? Because truth is what tells you whether or not you're choosing life or death.
That's true. 100% right. You might not get the right answer. 100%, right? The people who messed up their lives don't necessarily have meaning. It's like, I always notice this when you get married, right? So people who have the worst marriages seem to want to give you a great advice. Like, let me tell you. And generally it's not very good advice, right? But their advice, it's true. It's not necessarily going to give you, like, they're not necessarily going to give you great advice, but it's your beacon of where you should be heading for. It points you in the right direction. It's going to take a little work to figure it out, how not to behave, how not to end up your life like that. It's true. And the people who did mess up their lives are not necessarily going to give you any great ideas, right? But the thinking like that will give you some great ideas.
I'm still not 100% buying it, especially because I feel like, unfortunately, there are a lot of people that on the outside, it seems like they're leading the right lives, and they're, from the outside, it looks like, oh, everything looks great. I don't mean like the picture perfect Facebook stuff. I mean, just pick somebody in your community. You don't know what's going on inside their family. You think they're going to share it with you? No way. You don't know what struggles they're having unless you've got, you're there and you see, like, you just don't know. I'm still not buying this. I'm sorry, Rabbi.
You don't know.
No, 100%. But I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people that very clearly, for you, are the people you don't want to end up like. Those are the people.
Let's take an extreme example, because I'm still not with this idea quite yet.
That's okay.
Let's say you see a drug addict.
Right.
Okay. Like, how likely are you to end up like that, considering that you probably did not start out life in the same way they did?
Well, Rav Nach used to say like this. He used to say 50% of all marriages end in divorce. So he said, nobody walks down the aisle going, I'll give it a 50-50.
That's probably a better example.
Right. So I don't want to end up like that. But everybody gets married thinking, I'm not going to end up like that. Right? Now, who's going to give you great advice? I mean, it's not the most phenomenal, but it will lead you in the right direction. The people who messed up their lives are going to, I wouldn't say it's, for somebody who grew up in the middle of Mea Shearim or B'nai Brak or whatever, right? It's surrounded by good advice. But the average person in the world of 8 billion people don't have access to that kind of information, those kind of people, that kind of insights. What they do have access to, and it's universal, is the people who messed up their lives.
Wait a minute. Are we assuming that everybody or nearly everybody in Mea Shearim are living lives of blissful marriages and families?
No.
Really?
No, 100%. 100%. But they have places to go to find great insights to life. The average
You mean
person,
like the rabbis?
yeah, like rabbis, like the Torah, they have places. It's not that difficult. But you grow up in I don't know, Mexico or anywhere in Europe, there's there's 8 billion people in the world. The amount of wisdom, I mean, today is actually not as difficult as it used to be. But we all have access to the disasters.
But those disasters don't necessarily know how to give. Those disasters don't necessarily give you the right advice.
That's true. I totally agree with that. But it's easier to learn from the failures of life than it is from the successes. That's the point.
I'm still maintaining that in whatever situation you're in, you have to seek the truth. Because even in the Jewish world, I'm not trying to say Lashon Hara here, but there are plenty of teachers that are not teaching the right Torah, I'm sorry to say.
100%, totally, 100%. Right, 100%.
So in that case, it becomes even more critical to be a seeker of truth, because if you're not asking questions, if something doesn't sound right, if it doesn't seem to stick, if it's something weird to you, you don't understand. Like, if you don't have that mindset of what Shlomo HaMelech said, if you seek it like silver and gold, if you don't have that mindset, it doesn't matter what you ask yourself, you're in deep doo-doo.
Yeah, that's 100% right.
Excuse the impression, please delete that. You're in deep trouble. There, I got
deep trouble. Right, deep trouble. Very good. So let's now focus on Rosh Hashana. So I want to tell you there's a fantastic Rambam, and he says like this. He says on Rosh Hashana, the Almighty makes a decision. He weighs up all your good stuff and all your bad stuff. And if the good stuff outweighs the bad stuff, then you get put in the good book. And if the bad stuff outweighs the good stuff, you get put in the other book. You don't want to be in that book. And if it's 50-50, it's even, then you're called a Beinoni. You're right in the middle.
And that's most of us.
Well, hang on a sec. And it waits until Yom Kippur. If you do tshuva, this is what the Rambam says. If you do tshuva, right, then it's all good, and the Almighty swings it into the good book. And if you don't do tshuva, right, then it goes in the bad book. And the Rambam says that we don't know the calculation. It's not the calculation that we can imagine, we can figure out. So, for instance, it's not like I put up 3 mezuzahs and ate 2 cheeseburgers. So I've got 3 mitzvahs and 2 averas. I'm good. Right? It's not like that. I'm using extreme examples, silly examples, but nevertheless, right? I spoke Lashon Hara twice, but I gave tzedakah 3 times. We can't. We don't have the ability to make a cheshbon. We don't know what the calculation is. So the obvious question then is, well, how do you do tshuva then? Do tshuva for what? What am I supposed to be doing tshuva for? I don't even know what a judgment is being made on Rosh Hashana for a calculation that I can't figure out.
I feel like you taught this to us. I'm feeling something familiar about this question.
Why do you need to even figure it out? As long as you know that you did a avera, you just do teshuva for it.
Oh, I think I remember what this is. The problem is that you think that you're a Beinoni, right? You think that you're a Beinoni.
Oh, very good, very good, very good. Way to go, Zita. So what are you doing tshuva for?
That you're not thinking about your greatness.
What's that?
That you're not thinking about your greatness, that you are great.
Right, that's right. That you're a Beinoni. You think you're a Beinoni. It's very interesting because the minhagim of a holiday, the mitzvahs that we have on a holiday, clue us into what the holiday is all about. So Sukkot, for instance, is all about joy and family. Because we've got a sukkah, and we're not going to go into too much now, but that's the mitzvah gives you a clue of what the holiday is all about. It's not a random thing, not an arbitrary thing. Just, it's a nice time of year, build a sukkah, right? No, the mitzvah clues you into the concept. So the minhagim of between Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur, the customs are very strange customs. If you normally don't eat Chalav Yisrael, drink Chalav Yisrael milk, so the custom is between Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur is to specifically go and have Chalav Yisrael, meaning milk that is supervised by a Jew. Right now, if you drink milk that's not supervised by a Jew, you didn't drink treif. Like the regular milk, a lot of milk has an OU on it or some sort of kashrut symbol on it. It's got hashgacha, right? It's not Chalav Yisrael, right? And the same is for the bread, right? In other words, you're not eating anything treif. It's totally kosher, but it's an extra level of stringency that is not a mitzvah one iota. You don't, if you drink regular milk that's not Chalav Yisrael, you didn't do an avera. So drinking Chalav Yisrael is not a mitzvah. So why are we doing these things? In other words, I would have thought that the customs between Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur would be things that are specifically mitzvahs. Why are we doing these things that are not mitzvahs?
So you said on Rosh Hashana, if you're someone who's Cholav Yisrael, you reverse it on Rosh Hashana? You drink not Cholav Yisrael?
No. If you normally drink Chalav Yisrael, then you're good. But if you don't normally drink Chalav Yisrael, then between Rosh Hashana and Yom Kippur, you should take upon yourself that and things like that. Right?
What other things like that?
Pas Yisrael, right? Bread, right? There is that kind of stuff.
That's very interesting because that's what the boys did. They start like taking on chumras.
Right.
Like, that's nice. Could you next time inform me so that like, why isn't anyone eating the bread?
Yeah, how come we still got 2 gallons of milk in the fridge? I don't understand. Right, exactly. Right. So, but there's no mitzvah in such a thing. You're not doing it. It's not like God's looking at that and going, "Oh wow, you're drinking Chalav Yisrael. Oh my goodness, we're going to put you in the good book." You follow?
Wouldn't Mesilat Yesharim say, "Oh, that's a chassid," because he's going extra beyond?
Wait, a chassid has precious, really?
A chassid is someone who goes beyond the letter of the law.
Yeah, but that's not going beyond the letter of the law.
No.
No, because it's not. There's no law. There's no law. The law is, the halacha is, you're not allowed to drink pig's milk. This is not pig's milk. No one thinks it's pig's milk,
Okay.
right? In other words, right, in the good old days, like in a little farm, right, in the middle of nowhere. So the farmer who's not Jewish, he had a cow, he had 3 pigs, he had chickens, goats, etc., etc. Right, Father? So what we're afraid of is that he's got 1 cow, and the cow Daisy is not producing as much milk. So he goes over to the pig and he milks the pig, right, to fill up the canister. That's what we're afraid of. But today, that's not an issue because no farmer is putting pig's milk in his milk. Right? He's got a milk farm, a dairy farm has got thousands, 1,000 cows, let's say, whatever it is. He hasn't got any pigs. It's just milk. It's just cows.
Besides, now I think pig milk is probably more expensive to produce than cow's milk.
Right, but not only that, but the FDA is it the FDA?
USDA maybe.
USDA,
Yeah.
right? They check the milk, not on every farm, but they check the milk regularly, and they can tell whether it's pig's milk, cow's milk, or something else. And the farmer would get into a lot of trouble if he put, and not really worth it at all, right? You know, they use giant machines to milk the cows. They wouldn't work on a pig. I don't even know if you could buy pig's milk. I don't know if right?
So nowadays, so back then it would have been it would have been great mitzvah to have Kol of Israel.
Well, it wouldn't be any more of a. It's not any more of a mitzvah. It's just that the reason for the mitzvah of Chalav Yisrael is because the farmers used to do that, mix in pig's milk. So we created this extra stringency to make sure that you've got kosher milk. But today that's not an issue anymore, at least in America.
So we should throw out Kol of Israel and say it's anachronism.
So there's a general principle that we don't undo a previous decree.
Ah,
But unless you have a base din of a higher level, there's rules. You just can't just throw things out. So but whatever it is, right? It's not going beyond the letter of the law, right? The chassid, it goes beyond the letter of the law. Within the law, it's implied in the law, or it's another step in the law. In the mitzvah, endears the value of the mitzvah. This doesn't endear the mitzvah. You're not doing the mitzvah any better. You drink regular milk that is not Chalav Yisrael, and you drink Chalav Yisrael, it's the same milk. It's not any difference, right? So it's not a chassid. So why are you doing it?
You know, you just answered a question for me that I didn't understand before. Some of my kids decided to take on these chumras without telling me about it. And I think the reason they did it is what you were saying before, which is I view them from this perspective of they're like the great generation. They're very similar to the holy generation of Bamidbar, the Bamidbar children. And so that's why they do it. It's because I see them in that high level. And so they're meeting that standard. So it's really my fault that I don't know about the bread. So that's the reason they do it, isn't it? They take these things on because they're like, well, there's a certain level of greatness that I'm expected to lead because that's who I am.
Very good. Very good. So you see, that's the tshuva that we have to take on. See, one of the things, the great I don't know how you say it, disaster or evils that Christianity and the Reform movement and the conservative movement perpetrated on the Jewish people is this idea of the rabbi is holy for you.
What does that mean?
So I grew up in English Reform movements, and how it was viewed is the rabbi is the one who's holy. He's the one who is supposed to. I remember it was one time I'm with my mother. I was a little boy, and I'm with my mother on Shabbos in a store, and I see the rabbi in the store. There's a Reform shul, right? So I said to my mom, like, that's the rabbi, isn't it? And she said, yes. I said, isn't he supposed to keep Shabbos? We didn't have a plan. It didn't even occur to me that I should keep Shabbos. It was not on my mind. But that he should keep Shabbos 100%. One time in Eshet Torah, we used to get this fairly frequently. You know, the guy who's going off to college or he's in the middle of college and he drops out. He's going to become, full-time learning. Eventually become a rabbi, whatever. Invariably, I would say 1 out of 3 times, the parents would go crazy. The father would fly over and like, what's going on here? You're taking my son. It's a cult, etc., etc., etc. And sometimes the kid would just buckle and go back, and it would be a disaster. Terrible. But one time we had, and sometimes they would stick it out, and they would, the father, often when the parents came over and they saw what their child was engaged in, they often, a lot of times, we had one guy, and he was a Holocaust survivor. This was not untypical, but he was extreme, and he was livid, absolutely livid. So he had a sister. He had 2 kids, a boy and a girl. So his daughter was a psychiatrist and did philosophy major and all kinds of stuff. So he said to her, "Listen, this is your field. Your brother has got caught up in a cult. Go over and get him out of this." Right? So she comes over.
Distraction.
Right? Exactly. She sits down with Rabbi Moti Berger. Right? I'm not sure if it was the first session or the second session, but no more than 2. Right? She was involved in the Vei Yaakov.
They took both of my kids now.
Right? So he said, like, don't send a boy to do a man's job, right? So he comes over, he stands outside the basement, he's shouting inside, "Where was God? Where was God? Where was your God in Auschwitz?" Right? No one wanted to go out to talk to him because he was livid. So Rabbi Tom Meyer went out, and he said, I won't tell you his name. His son is actually quite a famous rabbi, very big, phenomenal. So he said to him, "Let me ask you a question. Right? Which would you rather be? A guard in Auschwitz or an inmate?" So the man said, "I know what Auschwitz was, and I'd go back right now rather than be one of them."
Mm.
Right. Now that's a complete digression from our thing, right? Although it does fit into nowhere you don't want to end up.
And then did the father say relinquish his efforts to try to get the kids out?
Yeah. We turned him around. The father became very positive. It was phenomenal. He said, my parents were frommer than all of you, and they ended up in Auschwitz. Explain that to me. And he had some serious questions, and we talked to him. I didn't, but he was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. So it was not untypical. He was maybe a little, but we had one guy. So he was going to become a conservative rabbi, right? So his father came up. So this is unusual. I only remember one time like this. So he was going to become a conservative rabbi. So his father came up. So we said to the father, like, I don't understand. Right? If he's going to be a lawyer, okay, a doctor, okay, but he's going to become a rabbi anyway. What difference do you care whether it's a conservative rabbi? Like, as far as you're concerned, the issues you're going to have with him are no different whether he's orthodox or conservative. So why are you kicking up a stink? So the guy said, "You don't understand. Conservative rabbis make a lot of money."
Not anymore, right? Because they're not
They're good.
exactly.
If they're in a big show, they do well. Why? Because you have to pay somebody a lot of money to pretend to be holy.
Yeah, you see, truth, Rabbi, truth, pretense versus truth.
That's true, 100%. Right? It's complete nonsense, right? But it's hard for somebody who's not part of it to realize that it's nonsense. We had one guy, Harry. I want to tell you his last name. So Harry was sitting in one of these big shows, big conservative show in Los Angeles, like huge, right? It's packed. This was in. It was starting to taper down when I was getting involved when I was living in Los Angeles. But he was in it, and it was very hard to get to talk to people when they're in. They go to these conservative shows and like they're packed and they've got all the vestiges of success and it looks like they're winning and they got the right thing going. Now any idiot can realize like there's nothing there, right? But in those days they were it, right? They were leading the charge. Everyone thought this was it. So he was sitting in the show and this rabbi was very dynamic. And he was talking about prayer and everything, and the conservative, there is an official dogma, but each rabbi carved his own ideology. So this rabbi gets up and he says, listen, let's be honest, guys, be straight, like wake up. Prayer doesn't do anything. You're standing there and you're talking. It's nice. But it doesn't change anything. You can't change, let's get real. Right? This is his position. So this guy, Harry, it was a dialogue. This is how he ran the service. So this guy, Harry, he stands up. He says, I don't understand. You just did a Misha Berach, a prayer for the sick. So why'd you do that? Right? If your prayer doesn't do anything, right? He says it gives you warm feelings and it makes you feel connected and we're all davening, praying together and it's meaningful, etc. But in terms of effectuating some different outcome, it's we see that people pray for their people are sick, it doesn't do anything. So therefore prayer doesn't do it. Sometimes it does, okay, but it's not universal that you pray. It's like you take antibiotics, you get better. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So therefore it's arbitrary. So he said, what about Misha Berach? Right? We just said a Misha Berach, a prayer for the sick people, right? Why'd you do that? He said, because it makes people feel good when they say a Misha Berach when somebody's sick. Mm-hmm. So this guy, he was outraged, Harry. He said, you think we're like simpletons? He's
a truth seeker. He's a truth seeker.
100%. You think we're just simpletons? Like we're like savages in the jungle? Just like, oh, give them some beads and they'll be happy?
Yeah.
Right? You think we're just simpletons? Like just let them say words to my children.
Here's a nice song to make you feel better.
Right, you feel better, right? So the rabbi realized he's touched a raw nerve. And he's trying to get out of it. He says, well, I wouldn't say it like that. He's trying to wiggle his way out of it. So the man says, no, seriously, is it real? Is Misha Berach do anything? Or he doesn't do anything, one or the other. Tell me what it is. And so the final rabbi had to admit, it doesn't do anything. It's just to pacify, to placate you, to placate the audience, right? So with that,
I'm shocked he even said that.
Yeah, I am shocked too. But Harry's telling me the story. So Harry took off his tallis, put it down, walked out the show, and never went back.
Is he the same Harry who was who looked at the Pew Research and saw that Jews were going to be intermarrying, and then decided to fund?
No, that's
different Harry.
Horowitz.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So anyway,
that's a very interesting story. He was seeking the truth. He's not interested in what feels good, what looks good.
Yeah.
Because you could say, "Oh, it looks good." It's I guess that's going to be good.
Right, 100%. 100%. Right. He's a great guy. Just spoke to him today. He's a great guy. So anyway,
we were talking about the milk on Rosh Hashana.
Right. So what do we do tshuva for? For thinking we're abandoned. So what these movements, Christianity, all these other religions, conservative reformers, what they did is you can live a regular life. Go out, play golf, right? And you give me enough money, we'll pay someone, a priest, a rabbi, right, to be the holy one, to do all the right things you should be doing. They will cover you. So you can go and enjoy your life, right? So you're a Beinoni, right? Just be a Beinoni. You're not special enough to be. We're going to pick somebody who's chosen from birth, who's got the spirit within them, right? They're going to be the one that's going to, take it to the next level. But this is not for you. It's a certain kind of person. And that's killed us. Judaism has no such thing like that. There's no. That's one of the shocking things when I first started getting involved in learning, which is remarkable, is that there's no such thing as a different rule for the rabbi for somebody else. We're all responsible. There's no second-class citizen. So this is a problem that has been with us forever. Is once you had a people, when Judaism transitioned from individuals, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, when it transitioned the individuals to a people, you had this problem of a leader and everybody else. He's the one. The leaders are the ones that are supposed to be tzaddikim, and we're the ones who we're Beinoni, and that's what you have to do tshuva for.
And Korach tried to say, look, we're all holy.
That's exactly right. Very good.
But he really was not doing it. He was correct in what he said, but he was doing it for the wrong reason.
That's right. Right. Very good.
Wait. I have a question here. Something doesn't
Judge.
Why do we even have the concept of Beinoni if we're not even supposed to think that way?
That's a very good question. How many times have you ever had on your finances? You look up the bag, you go, "Oh my goodness, look at that! I spent $500 and I brought in $500." It never happens. You never get a point where it's exactly matched. Right? In the history of the world, what are the odds that there's ever been a person that is exactly even, the good with the bad? It's impossible.
Yeah, that's a good point. So why does the concept exist then?
Right. So you see, that's what the Rambam's coming to tell you. He's not telling you that the Beinoni is because there's this calculation. God's looking at the books and go, "Oh, well, you did 15 good things and 15 bad things. You follow it even in matches," right? He's telling you it's not the cheshbon, it's not the calculation by which we think of it normally. It's the calculation of how we think about ourselves.
Wait a minute. Then why is it that when I learned this, it's always, most of us are Beinonim. You have a small portion that's tzaddikim, and you have another small portion that's Risha'im, but the rest of us were Beinonim. You see what I'm saying? Truth.
Exactly.
I'm so upset. I can't tell you.
Right. That's exactly right. Where most of us are Beinon because we think of ourselves as Beinonim.
No, that's how we're taught.
Yeah.
What's the difference between the way I relate to my children and like the way others related to us?
I agree. It's not taught properly. He said the Rambam says another place. It says a fascinating. It's in the book. So he says that we should look at it that just like we are judged, our city, our country, and the whole world is judged, right? And if it's one Avera, it's even 50-50. And it goes one Avera over, the world will be destroyed. And this mitzvah that's in front of you is the very mitzvah that's going to save the world. So
Well, Rabbi, this is the reason why God does all these things, is because like we're getting really close to like the world being destroyed. So he's like, hello, the world's almost going to be destroyed. And then we do this massive effort. We go crazy with the praying and the changing of ourselves and doing a mitzvah here. Like, that's the real reason?
that's it, because it is. The reality is that we are the one. The Almighty didn't create more people than was necessary to flip the world. You are in the position of making the world a great world. You're not a Beinoni. You're only a Beinoni because you think of you, not you, but we think of ourselves as Beinonim.
So why does the Rambam even mention Benoni?
Because of the fact that people have this perspective of Benoni. It's not real. It's not true. It's not a truth. It's a misconception, right?
Exactly.
It's
a truth only because we think of ourselves like that.
No, it's a falsehood. It's a misconception.
It is a misconception because there's no such thing as a Beinoni, except for the fact you think of yourself as a Beinoni. Thinking of yourself as a Beinoni is a terrible way to live.
Because you're not living with truth and you're deciding on death. I mean,
that's true.
That's when you strip everything off, that's exactly what we're saying here, isn't it? Because it's not a truth. If it were a truth, then it would be meaningful, then it would constitute life and it would be fine. But because it's not a truth, it's constituting death.
That's right. That's true. Right? But it's a specific type of death from an outlook on life that we're supposed to use at this time of the year.
In other words, it's the type of death where like you're on life support. And so since you're on life support, you better figure out really quickly what you can do to get some major energy or like some drugs or something in your system to wake you up. That's basically what you're saying. That's what you're saying about like the whole Chalav Yisrael and Pas Yisrael. That's like putting like massive drugs into a coma patient to wake them up.
So yes, so now tying it back to why are the minhagim like that? Because those are the kind of things that we think of that tzaddikim do. We expect the rabbi to eat Chalav Yisrael. Because that's what the minhag is focusing on. Don't think it's like it's for somebody else. If you thought that your mitzvahs was holding up the world, if you thought that, how would your behavior was holding up the world? What would you do differently? That's how we should think.
I'll tell you what if I didn't think that way, I can tell you there'd be a heck of a lot of crying people.
Crying people?
Crying. Lots of people would be crying if I didn't think that way. Some of them might be in worse condition than crying because of my extreme temper.
Oh, I see. No, come on.
No, I'm serious. I hold myself back a lot because I really believe that if I don't hold myself back, I will do extreme damage and that it could cause massive problems.
And destroy the world.
Exactly. I don't want to say that, but
right. But that's how we should think about it. That's what the Rambam says. That's how we should think about it. Rav Noach explains this is that both Miriam and Bas Pharaoh did a very similar mitzvah in saving Moshe. But the Bas Pharaoh merited the name Moshe, and Miriam merited the well, which is a far bigger schar, far bigger reward. She saved millions of people. And the answer is, why is it different? Because Bas Pharaoh was saving a little boy, one child. But Miriam knew that Moshe was going to save the Jewish people. She wasn't saving one boy, she was saving the Jewish people. The same person who's driving a car, one's delivering pizza, another one's delivering a liver to save someone's life. It's not the same way you drive. It's not the same way you think. when you think that what you're doing is this is the mitzvah that's going to save the world, you think differently, you behave differently, you live differently, you enjoy life differently. And every human being needs to think that. That's why people watch hero movies. You know, Batman and Robin, and, you know, and some of them are realistic, true stories and things like that. Because we're living vicariously through that. They watch those movies because they're not thinking their lives are like that.
Right.
Because
But that's good for parents also, right? Like we don't really see our kids in the right way. We really should be seeing them as the holier generation. But that's another thing that I think we focus too much. Oh, you know, the generations, they become weaker. I think we should be saying the exact opposite. The generations become greater.
they are becoming greater, 100%. 100%. Right? Is the world getting better or the world getting worse? Because by the nature of each generation fixes another aspect. When Adam made the mistake and ate from the tree that he wasn't supposed to eat, he brought a certain amount of death into the world, a certain amount of error. And each generation gets a piece of that to fix. So we all have children with the intention that we're going to make their lives a little better. They're going to not deal with the problem that we grew up with. And to some degree, we fix that. And
Right.
and they become better, and they're going to do the same thing for their children. Because despite whatever you do, right, your children will look at you and go, I'm not going to do that to my children. Right? And that's meaningful. Because without that, they have nothing to do. That's their
Yeah.
mission that's going to save the world. That's how we should think of it. So please go. We're going to go into Rosh Hashana, do tshuva, no Beinoni,
Doesn't exist.
doesn't exist.
But if one thinks that one's a Benoni, then they'll be writing themselves in their book of Benoni.
Yeah, and you got to Yom Kippur to fix that.
And they're forcing themselves to have to go into overtime.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Because Rav Katz was telling us that we write ourselves in the book.
Yeah, right. Very good. Very good. Way to go, guys.
Sorry,
Right.
I apologize for all the deletions you're gonna have to make from my potty mouth.
Yeah, I think it's rated.
Nothing was a problem. Hang on.